Summer Wells has been missing for 4 years now, and to mark that, her dad Don has done an interview we'll find out his intention behind it as we look at his words, because that's what we're going to look at in this episode of Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see whether they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. What we do here is different from anywhere else. We strip away everything we know, everything we think, everything we've heard, and just look at the words that someone speaks. Then we use my process of statement investigation to get closer to seeing potential truth, potential deception, and the motivations of a person as well. We use my statement analysis process, which is used, or I use, with corporate clients, with the media, and with investigators as well, to get to the heart of the truth through looking at what is being said. And this is a live episode, which always relies on you. That's the reason why I do it live. I want to hear who is there and what you're thinking and what questions you have and what observations you have around the words that are being used. I can already see Sheila is there. Hello, Sheila. Thank you for the promotion that you do, Sheila. It's very much appreciated by me. Jackie's here. Kristen is here as well. Kristen's in Florida. And Jackie, like me, is in England. Jackie, have you had like autumn like I've had here today with just rain and wind and storms? Or are you in a nicer part of England than I am, Jackie? Anyway, do keep your comments and observations coming in. And there is a poll as well running if you're watching this on YouTube, and a poll as well if you're watching the catch-up on Spotify. And by the way, if you are part of the replay crew, do get involved in the comments, because like I say, your comments, your observations are the lifeblood of episodes like this, and also me and the folk that help me decide what it is we're going to talk about. We look at your comments, we look at your desire for more, we look at the amount that these episodes are shared as well, to tell us what to talk about more, what to do more, because the intention is to bring this to as many people as possible. So thank you so much for getting involved. Now listen, Don, I've looked at him before. I looked at him and Candy speaking at the time that Summer was first reported missing, and I found him very, very questionable. So that's who we're going to look at here, because it's just Don that spoke and Candice partly pulled out of interviews around this. Now, what we have here, Jackie's just got in touch to say, very hot here today. I'm in Nottingham. Love your channel. Oh, thank you, Jackie. Number one, great to hear that it's been very hot for you today. And thank you so much for the comments as well. So the format of the video that we're going to look at was the questions were written on the screen, and then we heard Don's answer to them. So before each clip, if I remember, I will give you the question that is asked to get the answer that we are going to hear. So the first question is, it's been 4 years now. What do you think when that comes to mind? It's been 4 years now. What do you think when that's come to mind? Let's hear Don's answer.
It's been really tough. The social media groups would attack anybody that we knew, any employer that we worked for, and so it made it really hard for us to obtain employment and all these things. And but there's been people that's helped us, along the way, and we really appreciate that. That's for sure. But we're just hoping, God will turn it all around.
Okay, so it's been 4 years now, Don. What do you think when that comes to mind? And he says, it's been really tough. The social media groups would attack anybody that we knew. And what I noticed, first of all, in all of this is that he seems to talk for himself and Candice here. And a lot of the way through the interview, he uses joint pronouns. That shows some unity between himself and Candice. So it's things like would attack anybody that we knew, any employer that we worked for. And so it had things really hard for us to obtain employment and all of these things. So he's really talking for himself and talking for Candice as well there. Now, what I do notice here is he doesn't talk about attacks on them directly. If you notice the attacks that he mentions over the 4 years, the attacks would be on anybody that we knew, just anybody that we knew, and any employer that we worked for. So the attacks are not on them directly. Now, there have been a lot of attacks on them, but those are not the ones that spring to his mind that he wants to talk about. He wants to talk about the ones that really made it hard for us to obtain employment and all these things. So 4 years on, what's happened? What's he saying has happened? Well, the concern is for himself and Candice. The concern is not directly on Summer at all, who is a missing child. He says, but there's been people that have helped us, so joint pronouns again, along the way. And we really appreciate that. That's for sure. We're just hoping, God will turn it all around. So we've got, again, this jointness there between him and Candice. And then we're just hoping, God will turn it all around. Got a couple of worries about that. Number one, when folk invoke God, it can be to make themselves look good. They feel that if they mention God, about God being on his side, and so on, then it will make people look good. It will make them look faithful. I've seen that before in this, which is they mentioned the church a lot in the very first interview here. Look, maybe the church is a very important part of their life. However, I feel the invoking God here is to create an image of righteousness there. And then the thing that really worries me there is that phrase, God will turn it all around. What is it? Your daughter's been missing for 4 years. Hopefully God will bring her to us. We'll bring Summer home. We'll find Summer or something like that. But no, just God will turn it all around. And if you bear in mind what he's spoken about, which could be the it, it's been really hard for us to obtain employment. So really hard for him to get a job. And he wants God to turn that around. Is that the it that he's talking about? It's really, really self-serving. Got some of your comments here. Erica says, not even a mention of her. Yeah, there you go. It's been 4 years and not one mention of Summer in that answer. What was the question? It's been 4 years now. What do you think when that comes to mind? No concern for Summer. No missing Summer. Nothing at all in there at all about Summer. It's all about we. It's all about him and Candice. Anna notices that. Anna says it's all about themselves as usual. And Panic at the Discourse says also no mention of the 3 boys out of their care. So yeah, it has been a really tough time for them because they lost all the kids. One through potentially tragic, certainly mysterious circumstances. The other ones were taken away from them. And as Panic at the Discourse says, when they asked the question, it's been 4 years now. What do you think when that comes to mind? It's all the hardship on them. So listen, question number 1. What do I spot? I spot unity between himself and Candice. He feels able to talk on their behalf. We'll see that differ as we go through some of the answers. He talks about the ongoing problems with life, the everyday problems. It's really tough to find a job. Many people could have that exact same conversation. There doesn't seem to be anything special in there whatsoever. And that God mention, well, that worries me as well. So that's question number 1 from our man. But what about question number 2, which is, do you still hold on to hope that Summer
pray all the time for that, and we hope so. She could be anywhere. We don't know. Only, we just got to hang on to that hope and just do our best to, do what's right.
So a really short answer there from Don. Do you still hold on to hope that Summer will be found one day? Now, regulars will know that is a yes or no question. It's a question that can be answered very simply with the word yes or with the word no. And instead, he doesn't say yes or no. Do you still hold on to hope that Summer will be found one day? I mean, that should be a really easy question for the parent of a missing child to answer. It's, yeah, I still hold on to hope. You may go on to talk about how vague that hope is or something like that. Or no, all hope could be gone for you. And you could answer honestly and say that. You could say, after 4 years, I think the chances are slim. It's a yes or no question. And he doesn't say yes or no. So that means his answer is a little bit manufactured. Potentially, he's not letting us in to his inner thoughts here. He says, we hope and pray all the time for that. We hope so. So he's stuttering a bit there with the and the us and the ums. We hope and pray all the time for that. So we have this mention again of God there as well. Pray all the time for that. What's that? Again, it's like doing it right, which is what he said earlier. What is that? We hope and pray all the time for that. I would be expecting something a little bit more forthcoming than that. Do you hope that Summer will be found one day? We hope and pray all the time that our little girl will be found. I think something like that. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth. I'm just trying to say, what's the alternative that could be said that would just have a little bit more depth to it? Instead, it's we hope and pray all the time for that. Then he says, she could be anywhere. Now, that's a truthful saying, isn't it? She could be anywhere. However, he shows no curiosity about where she is whatsoever in all of this. She could be anywhere. That's true. That is absolutely true, but there's no curiosity from this guy at all. We don't know. Well, why are you telling us you don't know? She could be anywhere. It's just enough. We don't know. Why are you telling us that you don't know? We just got to hang on to that hope and just do our best to, do what's right. So why is it a challenge? Why is it a challenge to do what's right? We just got to hang on to hope and just do our best, to do what's right. Do our best to do what's right. Why are you just not doing what is right there? And also, while doing what's right, find summer. The question is, do you still hold on to hope that summer will be found one day? And his answer ends with, we've got to do our best to do what's right. Why do you feel doing what's right would help someone find summer? Why are you talking like that, Don? I'm interested, mate. I'm interested. Listen, let's have a look at some of your comments, which we've had some really good ones in from Kirsten. She says, that's so terrible. Wow. Sheila says, still not saying her name. There you go. Do you still hold on to hope that summer will be found one day? No mention of summer in the reply to that. Great spot, Sheila. You're very good at good spots, Sheila, though, as you know. One Love Revolutionary. Maybe not the easiest thing for me to say. One Love Revolutionary says, now you want to do what's right. It's a very strange concept, isn't it? The question is, do you hold on to hope that summer will be found one day? And he ends by talking about doing what's right. Doing what's right should be coming naturally to you. Why is it the challenge to do what's right? And just also, why are you doing what's wrong? Or what is it that you're doing what's wrong? Erica has a similar thought saying, what is doing what's right? I'd love to know what doing what's right is. Jackie says, talking nonsense. There is really, Jackie, yeah, something about that there as well. And Panic at the Discourse, great name. I think I've said that before. Doing what's right is not backsliding into substance use. So I think that we could be seeing that there, Panic, which is that he's trying to keep himself clean. He's trying to make himself look respectable all the time. I think that's very much what could be happening there. Okay, let's have a look at question 3 from this interview. Now, question 3 is, do you stay in the area in the hopes that she will come back? Do you stay in the area in the hopes that she will come back? Let's listen to Don's answer.
I've wanted to go back out west and everything else, but this whole thing has tied us down right here. We can't do anything, not really. Yeah, this whole thing's tied us down to this area for 4 years now.
So what did he say? He said, in answer to the question, do you stay in the area in the hopes that she will come back? His response is, many times I've wanted to go back out west and everything else, but this whole thing has tied us down right here. So for the first time, he's talking about himself. Many times I've wanted to go back out west and everything else. So he's talking for himself and Candice quite a lot in the first answers there. But this time, it's all about him. So we can assume from what he says there, Candice doesn't want to go back out west at all. It's just him. Back out west and everything else. Doesn't expand on what the everything else is. I don't know. It's a yes-no question here, by the way. Do you stay in the area in the hopes that she will come back? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Well, it's got to be yes, I do, because he's still in the area. Or I guess no, I'm here for other reasons would be there. But he doesn't say yes or no there. It's just many times I've wanted to go back out west and everything else. But this whole thing has tied us down right here. So this looks like the fact that his daughter is missing is a burden on him and not a responsibility to say that he has been staying here for the good of his daughter. I wouldn't have it any other way. If Summer comes back, I want her to be home. No, he doesn't say any of that. It's all for his own sake. It's what he wants to do, not for Summer's sake. He's been tied down here. And then he says, we can't do anything, not really. I mean, yeah, this whole thing's tied us down to this area for 4 years now. So we can't do anything. What is anything? What does anything mean? There, we can't do anything. Well, there's lots you can do. Just we can't do anything. Does he feel like all eyes are on him all the time and he can't do anything? And then he says, not really. which negates the we can't do anything. There's certain things you can't do. If it's not really, that's really qualified the hell out of it. I mean, yeah, this whole thing's tied us down to this area for 4 years now. So once again, we've got this concept from the guy that he's not talking about anything large about his daughter being missing. He's just summed it all up as this whole thing, which is, yeah, I don't like that one bit. So here, question number 3, we've got the concern for self again. It's all about him. It's all about the things that he has suffered in this 4 years, and all about the way the situation has affected him and tied him down. And the question deals with hope. The question was, do you stay in the area in the hopes that she will come back? The answer doesn't deal with hope at all. Let's just look over through it. Many times I wanted to go back out west and everything else, but this whole thing has tied us down right here. We can't do anything, you know, not really. I mean, yeah, this whole thing's tied us down to the area for 4 years now. There is a way of talking about this answer that really would just give hope a chance. Do you stay in the areas in the hopes that she will come back? Yeah. Sometimes I'd like to go home and, you know, do what I did there, but I'm staying here in the hope that Summer will come back. But he doesn't mention hope once in all of this. Right, before we go on, let's have a look at some of the comments there to that. And we have Annette saying, I'm hedging and hedging. Yeah, he's very vague in his words. He doesn't take on questions directly. Crazy Cat Lady, he's blaming Summer for being stuck. Yes, he is. He's Summer's victim in this telling of the story. He is Summer's victim. I'm the victim because I'm tied down here. We're tied down here. We can't go anywhere because Summer went missing. Sheila picks up on a similar thing there, saying he is victim blaming. Annette, another comment from you. Tied. Was Summer tied up? We'll deal with that word tied up at some point, Annette, as we look back over this. Kirsten, especially saying this whole thing. Yeah, this whole thing just sounds really, really bad. And Erica had a comment on the same thing. Whole thing sounds a lot like when you talk about people saying that car and that girl. Yeah, this whole thing, this whole thing is never a good thing, is it? Now, I understand your daughter going missing and being missing for 4 years is not a good thing, but the way you talk about it, it does sound, the way he talks about it does sound very derogatory. We're going to listen to some more from the interview with Don. He's going to talk about the police and the investigation very, very soon. However, let me take a chance to say to you, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. It helps this get to more people. It helps spread the word about what's going on. Also, if you enjoy this, if you like stories like this, then check out the archives. There's a whole section on missing persons dealing with things like the Jennifer Soto case, Sebastian Rogers as well, looking at the words that people around them use to just, well, potentially deceive us, or are those people telling us the truth? Anything you can do, a like, a share, a recommend, also helps this get out to a whole load more people. So if you could do one of those things, that would be fantastically well received. Thank you. Okay, question 4 time now. And this is an interesting one. Listen to how he answers this. The question is, have you heard anything new from the police recently? Have you heard anything new from the police recently?
Law enforcement and a lot, I mean, to me, it's
let me try and go back to that one.
Enforcement and me and her as parents or whatever do not get along. They see things quite differently, kind of insulting and insinuating, and to me it seems like they kind of, you know, look down on you a lot. I mean, it hasn't been very good. I mean, they tore our house apart 11 times. Why? I mean, why? That just don't even make sense. They searched and tore our house apart 11 times. I've never even heard of that before. I mean, to me, that's, I don't know. They really hurt, the whole thing has really hurt me and Candace a lot, but we're still hanging in there for our kids and trying to do what's right. And holding out hope that Summer will be found.
So the first thing I noticed there is just the length of that answer. So compared to the effects on what has happened, to him, how he feels over the past years, hope that he has, and so on. His answers were very, very brief. And yet that one, the longest answer to a question we've heard so far. And it's very interesting when we break it down. So the question was, have you heard anything new from police recently? And it's a yes, no question again. It can be answered. Yes, we have. No, we haven't. And what does he say for the first time ever to a yes, no question in this interview? No. And we could assume that is a fairly honest answer. No, they haven't heard anything new from police recently. And then he goes on to say, I don't think that's really kind of a tough question. Is it a tough question? You've just said no. You've just said no, we haven't heard anything new from the police recently. So what is tough about it? Well, I think what's tough about it is the police don't talk to him, or he doesn't listen to the police, or there is a bad relationship there, which is what he says. Because the next part, the vast majority of that answer that he gave has nothing to do with the question that was asked. He's answered it. Have you heard anything new from the police recently? No. That is the answer. And so the next part is extra. That means it's important for him to say he feels like this is something he wants to say. It's a priority to him. We can always tell that with the extra answer to a question. It's a priority. It's something people want to get across. They haven't been asked about it, but it's so important to them. They want to crowbar it into the conversation. So let's have a look and see what he says. For one thing, law enforcement and a lot. I mean, to me, it seems like law enforcement and me and her as parents or whatever do not get along. They see things quite differently, kind of insulting and insinuating. And to me, it seems like they have kind of, looked down on you a lot. I mean, it hasn't been very good. I mean, they tore our house apart 11 times. What have we got in there? So what he wants to do is get across all his frustrations around the police. He wants to get them all out there. So this is a priority to him. He talks about, you'll notice he's spoken about the police people more than he's talked about his daughter who's been missing for 4 years. That's quite telling. For one thing, law enforcement and a lot, I mean, to me as parents, it seems like law enforcement and me and her as parents or whatever do not get along. First time that we have heard him split himself and Candace up like that. It's not we as the police don't get along. It's me and her as parents and whatever do not get along. So I spot a bit of a gap there between them when it comes to dealing with the police. I wonder if there's some friction between himself and Candace about how they interact with law enforcement, how they feel about law enforcement as well, because we have had so much going on, which has been we've suffered. We can't get employment. We need to do the right thing. And now it's me and her as parents or whatever do not get along. He says, kind of insulting and insinuating. And what we don't have in all that is a sort of any person there. It's not they are insulting or insinuating. And it's only kind of there. So I'm not sure he's really committed to them being insulted and insinuating. I think he doesn't like police. I don't think he wants to say why he doesn't like police. Therefore, he's kind of going, kind of insulting and insinuating. And then, I mean, they tore our house apart 11 times. Why? I mean, why? That just don't even make sense. They searched and tore our house apart 11 times. I've never even heard of that before. So what? Really, so what? They tore your house apart 11 times. They were trying to find your missing daughter. Help them. Just go with them. It's what they think is important to do. And yet he, once again, feels like the victim. I've never even heard of that before. Don, your daughter hasn't gone missing before. This is what happens when these things happen, especially if there's some suspicion on you. So I've never even heard of that before. I mean, to me, I don't know. That really hurt. The whole thing has really hurt me and Candace a lot. So who are the victims in this story that Don is telling? Summer, she's disappeared. We're not even hearing about her anymore. The question was, have you heard anything new from the police recently? And he doesn't bring Summer into it at all. Would they want to hear something new from the police about Summer? Yes, they would. And yet when he's asked about the police, it is all about them. It is all about himself. I mean, to me, I don't know. They really hurt. The whole thing has really hurt me and Candace a lot, but we're still hanging on in there for our kids and trying to do what's right. So it's not even Summer that they're hanging in for there. It's our kids there. So just kids entirely, and trying to do what's right. As I always say, trying means you're failing. And again, why are you trying to do what's right? Why is it important for you to say that you're trying to do what's right? Why is that a challenge to do what's right? That is just very, very telling here that they've got some issues going on. And then he says, and holding out hope that Summer will be found. Well, hooray, he's mentioned his missing daughter for the first time on question number 4 at the very end of the answer. Holding out hope that Summer will be found is an interesting one. It's not will come home at all. It's just that Summer will be found, suggesting that in his head, there's an interpretation is that we have Summer waiting to be found out there, waiting to be found, and not necessarily going to come back home through any other means. So there, in that question number 4, the longest question or the longest answer from Don there, the animosity with the police is, when I say clearly stated, I mean, it's really obvious to see it's there. The animosity is maybe not clearly verbalized. I don't think he's explaining his real issues there. Me and Candace moved on from the me and the we us concept there. So I think that the pair of them disagree slightly on law enforcement. And that is the first mention of the kids as well. Let's check into some of your comments here. Karen, blaming the police for trying to do their job. I mean, there does seem to be a lot of blaming here going on, Karen, doesn't there? Sheila, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't like the police. Yeah, Panic at the Discourse. They need to adhere to certain prerequisites to get access to the boys and haven't done that in 4 years. Another thing binding them down. That's interesting. Thank you. Sheila, trying to do what's right. Trying, so not really. Yeah, completely agree with that one. And then I'd like to know a little bit more about this. Hajab says, I met Don in an SDA church service when I was visiting the USA. Do you have anything more, Hajab, to share on that? That would be very interesting. Oh, we do have something here. I was visiting Nashville and when I was on a road trip through the state. Any observations about the guy? Did you meet Candace as well? I'd be really interested to hear some of those things. Okay, we do have a poll running, by the way. The question on the poll: do you think Don has more knowledge of what happened to Summer? 90% of you say yes. 10% of you say no. There is still time to vote on that poll if you want. Okay, let's move on to question number 5, which is, does it give you hope that the investigation is not cold? Does it give you hope that the investigation is not cold?
They can only do so much. I mean,
don't know why it's not working.
I think there was a lot more going on during the Biden administration that they're just starting to scratch the surface of, and hopefully they'll continue with a lot of this investigative work. And we've heard stories, you know, that of things going on in the higher ups and stuff, but, you know, lawsuits and other things, but I don't know.
Okay, we move into something completely different territory now. Does it give you hope that the investigation is not cold? Another yes/no question. Guess what? Does he say yes? Does he say no? Or does he say well? And well is not something I enjoy hearing at the start of an answer. Well suggests that I'm going to give you an explanation. I'm going to say something that doesn't really deal with the question. I'm going to go off on a slight tangent or say something that's quite important to me, or I'm going to qualify my answer before I give it. What he doesn't say is, yes, it does give me hope that the investigation is not cold. Instead, he goes into well, and then he says, I mean, they can only do so much. Ooh, why is he telling us they can only do so much? Why is that there? Like, that suggests no hope. He's not even asking for them to do more. It's just they can only do so much, almost as if he's quite happy that things have gone a bit quiet, that the investigation is not cold, but they're not really doing much, so there's not much more to go on at all. I mean, I think there was a lot more going on during the Biden administration that they're just starting to scratch the surface of. Now, this is not the most fluid of, it was not the most fluid of talkers, Don, anyway, but it's not the most fluid of answers. So what is going on here? Is it that he's decided to go off and start talking about politics and conspiracy theories, and there was much more going on during the Biden administration that they're just starting to scratch the surface of? Or is it he thinks that the Biden administration was in some way doing or more was happening on the investigation into Summer when Biden was in power? which is an interesting concept, not one that I thought was viable, but there we go. And hopefully they'll continue with a lot of this investigative work. And we've heard stories, that they have things going on in higher ups and stuff, lawsuits and other things, but I don't know. I really, if anyone can explain some of that to me, then please do, because I don't really understand it. It does finish with, I don't know, which is normally truthful. I don't think he does know what is going on, but it does sound like he's really moved into conspiracy theories here. So he's gone from talking about very personal things to himself to all of a sudden the American administration has a whole hand in all of this. But just look at this answer. Does it give you hope? Does it give you hope? If he had hope, he would have said yes. Instead, he says, well, they can only do so much. But then he asked for them to do more. Hopefully they'll continue with a lot of this investigative work, not all of this investigative work. So is there some parts of the investigative work he'd rather they didn't do? I don't know. And then we have higher ups and lawsuits and other things going on there, which is, what is going on with all of that? Let's have a look at some of your comments on that. And this is Annette. He doesn't know because he won't ask. They never contact the police ever, which is, I've no reason for doubting you, Annette, but if true, then that is very, very interesting. Karen says, what did not have Biden on my bingo card? Karen, me neither when I saw it, and I still can't quite work out what it is he's trying to say with the whole Biden thing. And also Anna, he's talking about CPS, I think. Right, I think I know where you're going with that one, Anna. So thank you for that, and sort of trying to flesh out a little bit more about that. So we have one question remaining, and that question is, do you still believe she was taken by somebody? Do you still believe she was taken by somebody? Let's have a listen to Don's answer.
Oh, she was. You know what I mean? She was there 1 minute and the next she wasn't. Down the dog trail, I think so, because that search dog, and I've said it before, that search dog, when it first smelled her clothing or whatever it was, that dog went straight down that dog trail and then lost its scent by the roadside. And I don't know, one policeman said that, I don't know, there's a couple different things. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Okay. Do you still believe she was taken by somebody? I can see you screaming now. That is a yes/no question, and we don't get a yes, and we don't get a no. We get a well. We get, well, we know she was. You know what I mean? Well, why do you have to ask us if we know what you mean? We know she was taken. Would be enough there. But you know what I mean? I think that's a check-in. Are you getting me? Are you buying this here? We know she was. You know what I mean? She was there 1 minute and the next she wasn't. Now, that is not how you know someone took Summer, is it? She was there 1 minute and the next she wasn't, because she could have wandered off. Anything could have happened for her to be there 1 minute and the next she wasn't. So this is not a convincing explanation of how he knows Summer was taken. Then there's an edit, so it might not all follow together in his words. You see the edit happening on the screen, and he says, down the dog trail. I think so, because that search dog, and I've said it before, that search dog, when it first smelled her clothing or whatever it was, that dog went straight down that dog trail and then lost its scent by the roadside. Now, quite a bit on all of this, which is, number one, I've said it before. I see people say that all the time in deceptiveness, which is they think that by pointing out this is something they've said before, it makes it more credible or it makes it more believable. They think that not just good enough to be consistent with the stories you've said, but to point out how consistent you've been. Sheila's got that. She said, I've said it before, convincing words. Exactly that. I think that is a very interesting tell for him. And then we have potentially a misspeak, potentially something that is very revealing, because he says that search dog, when it first smelled her clothing or whatever it was, that dog went straight down that dog trail. Now, my first listening to that made me think that he knew the dog was female. So when it first smelled her clothing or whatever it was, she went down the dog trail. Now, that would make perfect sense. But he says she, and then corrects himself pulls out of saying she and says that dog. So whenever it first smelled the clothing or whatever it was, that dog went straight down the dog trail. Now, what's he talking about Summer there? Was he saying Summer went straight down that dog trail? Because he says she and then changes it to that dog. What I think we should do with that one, let's just have another listen. Have another listen to how he describes that part of it, because that correction is very interesting.
She was, you know what I mean? She was there one minute and the next she wasn't, you know. Down the dog trail, I think so, because that search dog, you know, and I've said it before, you know, that search dog, when it first smelled her clothing or whatever it was, that dog went straight down that dog.
That dog went straight down that dog trail, and then it lost its scent by the roadside. And I don't know. One policeman said that. I don't know. There's a couple of different things. I don't know. It's hard to say. Now, the thing, apart from all of that I noticed that was problematic in all the words, was he starts by saying, in answer to the question, do you still believe she was taken by somebody? Well, we know she was. Very firm, very resolute. And by the very end of it, he said, there's a couple of different things. I don't know. It's hard to say. So he wants to convince us that he knows that Summer was taken by someone. But when he lets himself talk and talks himself out, he ends up with this very vague, I don't know. It's hard to say. That is a hell of a move. Now, listen, that's all I've got from Don. So it's time to get your comments in on what you think overall. Just have a look at some of the comments on that last answer there. Jackie says he doesn't know much, does he? No, he doesn't. He wants to let us think that he knows much, but he certainly says, I don't know quite a lot. Leisha, sorry. That's not true. The search dog went down the driveway to the road. So interesting. If he's not telling the truth there factually, then that is, yeah, really worried. She backs it up by saying he made a video of going down the dog trail to make it sound convincing. And One Love Revolutionary said it better this time. Omission is the biggest deception. Yeah, we will hear actual lies, very, very little with us. We will hear omission, and we have to spot that omission when someone is talking in order to find out where we're truly being misled. Thank you all for your comments. Let me just check in on the comments that we've got here. Sheila says he calls it the dog at first. Yeah, but then he calls it Sheila. So then he mentions a she, which is really what got me interested in that. It could just be a misspeak, but it could be something else. We have on the poll, 91% think that Dawn has more knowledge of what happened to Summer. 9% think that Dawn is on the up and up. Thank you so much for all your votes. If you've got any comments there, panic. There 1 minute and the next she wasn't, like death. Yeah, that is interesting. Oh, well, I do have one other thing which I meant to mention, which is repetitions. Throughout that interview, he used some comments or some words that I thought all held together very interestingly, which was hang on to that hope, tied us down, still hanging in there, holding on to the hope. All makes things feel very restricted. Hanging on to that hope, it could go at any minute. Still hanging on in there, it could go at any minute as well. Holding out hope, tied us down. All feel that this guy is very, very feeling like he is very restricted. We saw that in some of the other things where he said we can't do anything, and tied us down, hanging on in there, holding out hope. Tied is interesting. People can be tied down. Hanging and holding are all words involving grip as well. I think you might know where I'm going on with that. I don't want to say too much more about it, but yeah, very interesting repetition of stuff. Thank you to Kristen. My main takeaway, if my child was missing, I would never say they're doing all they can do. If she's still missing, there is always more, in my opinion. Yeah, completely agree with you. And Sheila Duffy says, I don't believe him at all. I've got to say, there's nothing much comes through in any of that that convinces me that he doesn't know anymore. And I think we will finish with this from One Love Revolutionary, who says, justice for Summer. Do you want to do something just before we finish? which is something I've been working on, and I thought it'd be really interesting to put this thought in your head. I'm going to do something for members of the YouTube channel or subscribers on Spotify, looking at Barry Morphew. He's just been indicted for the murder of his wife, Suzanne Morphew. It's been a long story where he seems to have evaded the cops and justice for quite a while, but it looks like things are finally starting to happen there. Now, when Suzanne was missing, he apparently refused to do any interviews. He didn't want to do any interviews or any appeals. So therefore, he released a video on Facebook. It's 27 seconds long. Just have a listen to this. And just if you got any chance to put anything in the comments about Barry Morphew and what is going on here when he talks, do let me know.
Suzanne, if anyone is out there that can hear this, that has you, please, we'll do whatever it takes to bring you back. We love you, we miss you, your girls need you. No questions asked. However much they want, I will do whatever it takes to get you back. Honey, I love you. I want you back so bad.
There you go. If you get any thoughts on that, or keep an eye on the feeds, because I'll be doing a member special on that one, because 27 seconds, I think it's something like 50 words, and I think there are multiple signs of deception in there. Anyway, thank you very much for being here for the Don Wells analysis. I do think that, I mean, I've got to say, what was the point of him doing that interview? No appeal for more information, no sorrow expressed at all. It was all, here I am the victim of what has happened here. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for all your comments. A couple of parish notices. If you like Ted Bundy, you're interested in classic serial killers, I analysed Ted Bundy's final interview with Publicly Buzzed at the weekend, or the first half of it. We'll look over the second half of that interview this Sunday, so keep an eye out for that as well. And there'll be another episode of Never a Truer Word out this Sunday. Keep an eye out for that. I'm still deciding who that's going to be about, but I promise you it will be a good one. Thank you very much for joining me for this live, and we'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word.